Today's episode of the podcast is a one-off special recorded in May 2019 with Dominic Hofer, restaurant manager at Mochi Vienna. We, of course, hear his origin story before being given a virtual tour of the restaurants. We explore the Mochi Universe and their wider influence in Vienna. Dominic takes us through the beverage program at Mochi, discusses their connections with Austrian natural wine producers, and talks about the future path for Mochi. Enjoy!
Yeah, I'm Dominic, obviously. I kind of, where to start? I kind of stumbled, like maybe some other close friends I have stumbled into the whole gastronomy thing. I headed off originally wanting to study in Vienna. I did a business school in Upper Austria, then I came to Vienna to study marketing. I always used to work on the side, work in gastronomy, work in bars and stuff, like a lot of young people do probably. And then my interest got bigger, and I was also working a lot for like big caterings, and it grew. The interest in gastronomy and everything related grew bigger, I think, and the interest in what I was studying grew a bit less. My father can tell he's still a bit mad. No, it's all right. And at some point I decided, okay, it's gonna be gastronomy for me for now or for the next few years, and I never regret taking this turn. Then I worked full time a lot in catering, and also was soon became responsible for new employees to school them on everything like related, also wine. My interest in wine back then was quite basic. I like to drink wine like a lot of other people do, and only when I moved to Mochi, where originally I wanted to go scale big out of only gastronomy and do some more like events in general. And I quit my former job, and then like 2 days later my former boss called and he was like, hey, you already got something new in some new plans, because my good friend of mine Toby, he's running this new place called Mochi. If you don't have anything to do for summer, call him, and you know what to do. So that's when I started here, and it was almost 5 years ago, and the plan was only to stay for summer, but I'm still here. And also this was really the start for gaining a bigger interest in the whole wine thing, and soon also whatever natural wine means, also natural wine became a big thing, because especially with the food we are serving here at Mochi, it's kind of a perfect match. And so that's a quick story. And at some point I became responsible for choosing the wines and everything related, writing the menu, and for me it's learning by doing. And I'm thankful for all the nice colleagues I have, not only here but also like sommeliers like Dominic from Obufes, and the guys from Must, and everyone else who became friends. I really like the kind of scene that's going on in Vienna.
So just to give you the visual, we're sitting here inside Mochi restaurant. It's closed today. It's a Sunday, but you gave me a sort of a very brief tour, before we sat down and started recording. And I wonder if you wouldn't mind just, doing kind of the same thing for the listeners now. Just, give them a sense of the kitchen space, and that will, I think, naturally then flow back into what type of cuisine is being prepared here and the style of cuisine, and then it will naturally, I think, then link back to the wine and, how you put that menu and put that wine menu together.
We're sitting inside a extremely weirdly quiet place right now, because on an opening day it's quite busy throughout the whole day. So brief introduction. I mean, the concept of the restaurant is to be there for everyone at any time, more or less, and give them a feeling like as if they're sitting at home with friends having a nice dinner together. And we're open throughout the whole day. Kitchen is throughout the whole day, so you can come by any time. And kitchen-wise, it's every second restaurant now is like sharing concept, but really 7 years back in the day, 7 years ago when Mochi started, it was something new for a lot of people in Vienna, and this kind of family style eating, and it's a completely different atmosphere if you're sitting on a table of four and everything, all the dishes, you go in the middle, you kind of talk, you kind of like, hey, you like this or not, and it's really a relaxed, nice atmosphere, and also something I really like to work in this kind of surrounding, because it gives you, as the servant more or less, it gives you a completely different standing to the guest, because they have to rely on you. A lot of times people come here and they're like, I have no clue about the menu, please just bring me whatever you recommend. Yeah, and I think you don't get that in a lot of places in Vienna. I mean, of course, in fine dining restaurants where you have a set menu, yeah, but not in the kind of style restaurant we are here. It's people really rely on us, and there's a lot of talking going on, a lot of recommendations, and they trust us with not only the food but also the wine, I think. And we kind of, even if wine was never the main focus, because I think most people see us as a sushi restaurant or as a mainly eating place and not going for a drink, also the wine became quite a thing. And I think by now also some people come here just for our selection of wines. How does the place look like? I think definitely the main element of the restaurant is a big kind of a wooden, dominated by wood and copper style bar, where behind the bar there's one half of it is actually a bar where drinks are being prepared, and the other half is the kitchen. So open kitchen inside the guest room, and it's a tiny place. So when you want to work here as a chef, you have to be tiny as well. It's also something that adds to the feeling of the restaurant, because you can watch the chefs preparing everything and sweating on a summer day when there's a lot going on, a lot of guests. And also there are some seats directly at the kitchen counter, kind of a bar style, where a lot of people really, especially like those places, because you're sitting right in front of the chef who is preparing your food, you can see what's being sent out, and you're like, oh, this looks nice, can I also have it? And also the chefs, sometimes they take orders from the people sitting in front of them, and it's something that adds a lot to the atmosphere of the restaurant. And in summer there's also a garden, which adds maybe twice the space we have inside, and it's even more stressful for the chefs then.
I really like the story of the fact you came here with, fairly short-term point of view and maybe not the highest of expectations, but that things have developed and we, as I say, we're sitting in a space where you're the restaurant manager, and it seems as though Toby and Eddie, the original founders who are still with the company, things have sort of broadened out and have kind of gone from strength to strength for them. So I do feel then it's kind of necessary to kind of take the listener and take myself out of the restaurant where we're sitting here, which is the original site, and to then see and kind of update as to where the state of Mochi is now in Vienna, and who knows, maybe beyond.
State of Mochi is like, as I already mentioned, 7.5 years ago, the original place Mochi was opened in January, and 2 to 3 years later, so quite a short time later, there was a little takeaway store opened right across the street. We can see it from here, where there is like ready-made prepared sushi in in a fridge. You can take out and pay, and it's good to go. And also some stuff related to mochi, like also wine you can get there, and pottery and stuff like this. So that's the takeaway place, takeaway store. And 2 years ago, in February, there was a second proper restaurant opened, which is you just have to hop onto the underground, go 2 stations to Vorgartenmarkt, and it's a little market, like you probably know Naschmarkt, but it's a bit of a sleepy, not so big Naschmarkt, and we have a double stand at the end of one row, and it was combined to one restaurant called the Mochi Ramen Bar, and over there we serve obviously Japanese ramen, so more of a soup style restaurant also with some tapas dishes, and it's kind of the same vibe as here. It's without reservations, or even more easygoing. You just on a good day, or on a lot of days actually, people are queuing up. So if you go there at 7 o'clock for dinner, you kind of have to be prepared to have a few minutes or half an hour maybe of waiting time before you're able to grab a table. And it's also very nice, especially for me, because I can go there anytime, and my girlfriend is working there as a chef, and for me this is the relaxing space, because obviously if I work in Mochi, I'm not coming here a lot to hang out, but I can do so at Ramen Bar, so it's great for me. And that's the story so far, but it's soon to be continued, because there is another place soon to be opened, mid to end of June. It's gonna be, I think I'm not allowed to say the name already, so it's still a secret. It's gonna be a small restaurant close to Naschmarkt, with also pretty easy style, 9 to 10 dishes, ever changing, and 9 to 10 wines by the glass, and from the culinary side, from the culinary stand, close to Mochi but without sushi, also with some fusion style dishes, and easygoing. Open kitchen, same as Mochi, and will be hopefully be also a nice addition to the whole Mochi universe.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like it. I love it. I love the word, the Mochi Universe. So who knows where this will sort of end up, and where the influence will go to. I'm really keen and curious about the situation. So we're sitting in the middle of it's not a massive city, but it's a capital city. It's an international city. And I'm just curious, to ask you to kind of put Mochi a little bit in the context of the city. Do you think this is the type of place that has drawn some kind of influence from its location, being here in Vienna, or do you feel it's more of a kind of an international, not so much a brand, but an international concept which could be at home in many sort of major capitals of the world, like London or New York, for example?
I think it's it came here. It arrived as kind of an international concept, but it soon grew out of that. Or out of that's maybe the wrong word, but it soon developed to be something which is really a fixture in Vienna for a lot of our guests. They keep on telling me we don't even know where we went out to dine every week before you guys were here. I mean, that's maybe a bit too much, because there are a lot of other great restaurants in Vienna, of course, but I think it's came a long way from an international concept to be something which really feels like at home in Vienna. In my opinion, or first and foremost in the opinion of our founders, Toby and Eddie, Mochi was something that was kind of missing in Vienna. There is a great restaurant scene, from typical Austrian to French to whatever you want to eat. you probably find the right place in Vienna to go. But this like Toby and Eddie, they moved here. They last work together was in Berlin, and they moved here to work for a big restaurant, kind of a classic style restaurant, and they really felt that there is like the way they like to go out and eat at whatever time and for whatever reason or in Berlin was missing here, because this kind of high quality food, high quality service, but easy family style and really relaxed atmosphere restaurant where you can go to in any time was really kind of a missing here. And they said, okay, let's do it ourselves. And this was really the kickoff for Mochi. And I think something that got a lot of our guests hooked from the first second on, because it's still, I think, something in this combination with high quality food. We tried to have a very nice and direct service, plus nice wine list, and something you cannot find in this combination at somewhere else in Vienna. I don't know. A lot of people who are not so happy to like in the evening. Sometimes we have to tell people that we have no space at the moment for them, and then they ask for recommendations. They want a restaurant that's like us. Can you recommend something? And I'm like, I really don't know where to send you now, because I don't want you to be disappointed about my recommendation. And I really feel that there, in this combination, as we try to do it here, there's nothing like it. Which doesn't mean that we're the best, but it's just I think we're kind of okay in what we are doing. There are other restaurants who have another topping and another style, and they're also great in what they're doing. But for the thing we do here, I think we do it quite well, and that's what people like, and why people keep coming back. For.
You know, I'm a wine guy, but I appreciate, not everybody maybe likes wine as much as I do, or you like to try other things, and I'm keen to talk a bit about the other beverages here. So what have you got going on in the broader beverage program?
Apart from wine, what do we have? We try to get back on a bit more focus on also Japanese beverages, Japanese style drinks, because obviously the basis of our fusion kitchen is definitely Japanese, and sushi and yakitori and so on. So maybe a perfect night at Mochi starts off with Kiko Highball, which is a typical Japanese easy aperitif drink. Consisting of our own Kiko sake and ginger ale and a shot of lime juice. And then our bar chef Raphael is really keen on taking more and more like Japanese style drinks, Japanese style cocktails and influences into the menu, and he has done a good job for the last few months. So we use a lot of like shochu, sake and stuff like this as a basis for the cocktails. And then of course we have a Japanese beer, Asahi. You get it a lot of other places as well. Also for after dinner, maybe you want to take a Yamazaki whiskey or a Nikka from the barrel. We have a nice selection standing here in front of us on the not on the table. Obviously, it's a serious interview, but on the counter at the bar, we see it from here. Yeah, that's more. We want the drinks menu has to be kind of easy and compact, because we don't have a huge bar. We don't have. It's also not the place for too, I don't know, complex and 100 position wine cocktail list or whatever. It's just a bit of nice beer. We always try to have like a craft beer as well, and some digestives, some sake, shochu, as I said, and on top of that some wine, which main focus on kind of a natural wine theme. And yeah, that's more or less it. So concerning the wines we are serving here at Mochi, it's mainly only what Toby and me like to drink ourselves. We are very selfish, so sorry for that. No, actually, it's the restaurant 7.5 years ago started off with a pretty basic and down to earth is the wrong word, but the main focus went into food for the start, for sure, and wine was just something accompanying it, something on the side. But the interest, our own interest, and also the interest of the customers grew, and so we kind of developed over time. And also inside the restaurant, how should I put it? Like, we became friends, Toby and then me, and still making more friends in the kind of a natural wine business. Like, I remember like 4 years ago, I think, we had our own summer Mochi staff summer party at Gut Ogau, which was great, as far as I can remember. And then also, like, right now we are doing our own filling our own bottling of Christian Cheetah wine, which became a close friend of ours. And then a lot of guys actually from Burgenland, like Klaus Preisinger and Gernot and Heike Heinrich and so on, became close friends. They visit us on a regular basis, and we like to visit them. We also did some tours with our staff, which were always so so welcoming, and everybody, all of my colleagues keep telling me like, wow, this is so great, and if we are when are we doing the next tour? And they were so welcoming, and it's really something you kind of feel after such a trip that my colleagues here, they really like, they're standing on each table like, yeah, we've been to this winery and it's so great, and the wines, and they are so blah 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 blah. And this is something which really it's a great surroundings, it's a great atmosphere to work in. And so we kind of developed together with friends we made, winemakers we got to know, and so yeah, that's I think the story.
I think even that would be all the more special for me if I was potentially visiting Vienna. I mean, I think that then totally puts your restaurant through, as a link through the wine list, totally in the context, and you can try those wines that are exported. The people you mentioned, they export wines all over the world, and they have fans from all over the world. But to be able to eat here, have the pairings, but then potentially be close enough to go and visit one day, if the next day during your trip, then I'd see that could be a really cool match. It could be a really cool way to integrate the food, the service, and actually going out and potentially going and standing in the vineyard as well. That'd be a cool experience for me.
So yeah, some add-on to the tour. Like for the kitchen, as I said, only tiny chefs are allowed in Mochi. No, it's a small place, usually being stuffed with 3 to 5 chefs standing there. One explicitly doing sushi, like the sushi space. One is taking care of a robata grill, like a Japanese-style grill. We do a lot of kushiyaki, also yakitori sticks and everything, also like steak. And the other hot dishes, and then there's one or two additional people who are taking care of that everything is going on the correct table, and also helping out on one or the other side for sushi or whatever. Especially in summer, you can feel or you can see that people are really hooked on sushi, on like cold dishes more or less, and the guys are sweating a lot in the kitchen. And for winter, it's more of the hot dishes, the robata dishes. But yeah, actually, it's always very busy, and a lot of people come here and they're like, how many people are working here? Like, especially in winter when there is like 25 to 30 seats for guests, and then let me count, 7, 8 people working here. This is a lot, but it really needs we really need, or we want to have enough time on every table to talk, to make recommendations, and but it's really a lot. And when people come in here the first time, they're like, hey, it's like, is this the whole restaurant, and why are there so many people working? But we that's how we want to do it. And you have to kind of like a small space, and like fiddling and walking through the guests, and sometimes it's tight, but I think I'm not allowed to gain any more weight, because otherwise I won't fit in between tables anymore, but that's another story.
Just, one final question from me. I like the kind of little insight, and you've given us about, the next restaurant, and, we might get the name out of you later on. Let's see. But I'm just curious for here then, so what are the kind of, as we're sitting here, it's May, we're looking forward to the summer, we'll give us sort of maybe, some of the shorter and, I don't know, maybe some of the longer term, evolutions on the food and potentially on the drink side as well.
So where is our path leading us, Mochi, drinks-wise, especially, or in general? I think what I really, first thing I have to say, what I really always thought and really respected a lot, and thought they're doing in a very clever way, to not expand the whole Mochi thing too quick, because we have from time to time people coming here like in kind of investors, or wanting to be investors, and they're like, hey, let's do a restaurant in another district in Vienna, or let's do a restaurant in Graz or in Linz or somewhere else. And like Tobi and Eddie, they were always like, you have to be careful not to expand too much or too quick, and because it's maybe will also ruin some kind of what Mochi is. And it's a lot of people keep saying like, oh, it's too small, you have to open a bigger place and everything. But also this is kind of what makes Mochi Mochi. It's always small, it's crowded, and if this would be a restaurant with 100 and 150 seats, the whole atmosphere and everything it is would completely change. So we are happy as it is right now, and continuing what it is right now. So also one thing I forgot, we're also opening a small cafe, like an add-on to the takeaway shop. Still work in progress, should open in July, somewhere in July, with some like matcha style cookies and some coffee and everything, also to go, and also to have a quick coffee over there. That's another thing. So, but after that, I think it's good for a while to stay as it is, because you always have to also invest in keeping up high quality, keeping up a good service, and keeping up running a good place for people to come back, not to lose your focus, and not to focus too quick and too much on new projects, because the basis always has to stay as it is, has to stay strong, and continue what we started 7.5 years ago. And where is it leading us drinks wise? I think we are more and more including the natural wine side of into our wine list, because I also think that a lot of people are more and more understanding what it is and accepting it. But for me, I hope in general it will at some point not be natural wine and conventional wine as two contrary parts. But I think at some point it hopefully will evolve into one thing, and that nobody's talking about how was this how did they work in the vineyards and how did they work in the cellar, and everything kind of combines, and it's becoming a new just wine again. Because right now it's really a lot of people hate it, and they're like, oh no, I don't want this, it's terrible, it's awful, blah blah blah. And also I don't want to be too like dogmatic, is this an English word, to tell people this is the new shit and this is the only true shit, you can only drink this because it's farmed organically and blah blah blah. Who am I to decide for wineries how they should work, or how should they do their business, and also for guests? I can only be here to give them kind of a bridge to kind of and I'm always more the person who wants to give a story. That's why I like to visit wineries as well. Give them a story about how the wine was made, about the person behind it, and then a lot of times people are hooked and they're like, okay, maybe the taste is different than I was used to, but really I'm getting a feeling for it, and I think that's my or our job here, and I think we will continue on this path and integrate more and more of these wines we love into our wine list, and at some point not having to give people or excuse ourselves in front of people why we are so focused on this kind of natural side. Yeah, probably that's cool. Our way.
I love it. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dominic. An absolute pleasure to be able to share your interview on the channel. Certainly a restaurant with an enviable natural wine list and strong connections to local winemakers. If you hear this interview and do decide to give Mochi a go, do please let them know that you heard about them on Interpreting Wine. I've left below their website and main social media handles. And while you're at it, I'd love to have you following along with me on social media, where I'm at Interpreting Wine on Instagram and Facebook, at Wine Podcast on Twitter, and email hello@interpretingwine.com. See you next time.